That's David Lloyd. He's at the headquarters. I am Carrie Champion in the small satellite office here in Los Angeles, David.
The home office appreciates all the work you're putting in there at your branch. You're doing some nice work.
Here at this branch, this small little branch here, we're just taking care of business. What's going on in sports?
Talking NBA. So we got the young Sixers trying to measure themselves against LeBron and the Cavs last night.
Got it.
Carrie, still not quite there.
It's not about me versus Ben. It's about the Cavs versus 76ers, and we want to continue to play good ball.
Got a lot of respect for him. I'm not going to back down from anybody, no matter who it is.
Get out of his way. LeBron James, he scored the first 9. Where have we seen this before? Pass to Simmons, double clutching and scoring. Simmons, that's where he's so dangerous in the open floor. Wade to the hole again.
Dwayne Wade just put it on his show.
Wow, has he been on fire? LeBron sends it, kicks it down. Newt was off, sends it. Just like he planned. To give us an exclamation mark to the second quarter. James on a big-time thumper.
That's what you call moving through the defense. If he can stay healthy, he'd be the best in the league if he's not already close there.
Corbin sends it and buries it. Jenny Fry stuck it. Another decisive performance for the Cavaliers, playing their best basketball this time of the year.
We've been very resilient in this streak. We stuck with the game plan, and that's part of the reason why we've turned this early season around.
All right, so let's go by the numbers on the Cavs win streak. LeBron is shooting 48% from three-point range during the streak, while averaging 3 threes per game. For the season, he's shooting a career best beyond the arc. Essentially, we're saying he's good. Cavs have top 10 defense over this 8-game winning streak. Cavs had the worst, you may remember this, defense in the league through the first 12 games of the season. So that is why there is this turnaround. And do not be surprised if they surpass Boston's 16-game win streak, because their next 10-game stretch will be the easiest of their season, starting at home against the Heat tonight. All right, so we just talked about it. Joined by First Take Stephen A. Smith. Thank you so much for joining us here. We appreciate it. We just talked about it. Playing defense well isn't the only thing the Cavs figured out as they hit this win streak. I listened to you this morning on First Take. Tell me, for you, what stands out about LeBron and the Cavs?
Well, first of all, he's obviously reminding us that he's the best player in the world. He just looks massive right now. He's completely unstoppable when he's making his perimeter shots, because you can't stop him from getting to the basket. There's little to nothing you can do with him once he gets to the basket. The question, the Achilles heel in his game, was his inconsistent perimeter shooting and his shooting from the free throw line. He's shooting 48% from three-point range in this 8-game winning streak. LeBron James continues like that, it's a wrap. There's nothing that anybody's going to be able to do against him. You also have to take into account the fact that the likelihood is that there's going to be some sort of fall-off once Isaiah Thomas gets into the mix, because you've got to get him involved. This is a guy that averaged 28.9 points per game last year, was a candidate for league MVP honors himself. He's a miniature dynamo who's looking for his $200 million payday, because he's worth at least close to that, considering the requisite skills that he brings to the table. So it's going to be a challenge, but ultimately I think it's LeBron James playing like an MVP player. It's Dwayne Wade accepting a relegated role to the bench and being that floor orchestrator for the second unit. The collaboration of that, combined with their defensive effort that Tyronn Lue and his coaching staff has instilled, has lent itself towards the kind of success we anticipated they would have coming into the season.
All right, so they figured that part out. Meanwhile, we want you to hang tight. We want to talk about James Harden. I don't know if David Lloyd knows about this. You and James Harden have a rapport of some sort, but I'll give it to David. You take it away.
All right. James Harden showing his teeth. Look at him. He's ready to go against the Nets in Houston. And he was unconscious shooting in the first. We're going to put some circles around where he gets his shots off.
Do you guys have the video?
Shame the Nets couldn't see those circles, because Harden kept going right back to those areas and drilling threes. The NBA's leading scorer did not miss in the first quarter. 7 of 7 for 20 points, knocked down 5 threes. That one with a foul added on. You see the numbers. Harden smoking hot in the first. And the reason he's so hard to stop from the outside is because he puts it on the floor so well. You come up to challenge him, there he goes. Karis LeVert's got no chance. Draw him in and then drop it home. Rockets up 11 at halftime. Harden, no challenge from the Nets' interior defense, goes right down Broadway. And then Harden takes one gigantic European step to the hoop. 37 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. After that, you can just kind of chill. Put on the hoodie and chill. Rockets win 117-103. Harden leading the NBA right now in scoring and assists. Making an early run at becoming the first player since, yes, Nate Tiny Archibald in 72-73 to lead the NBA in both of those categories. Different NBA back then. Archibald were part of an NBA that only had 17 teams, including the likes of the Kansas City Omaha Kings, Tiny's team, the Buffalo Braves, the Seattle Supersonics. It was so long ago. It was also the season of the Knicks' last NBA title. New York won the title and beating the Lakers in 5 games. I don't know if that's a sort of a little dig at Stephen A., who's a Knicks fan. I don't know why we put that one in there, but anyway, you're back. Stephen A., what do we make of this Rockets team right now? A game and a half better than the Warriors. People sort of lined them up in preseason and said, maybe this is a team that can challenge Golden State. What are you seeing a month and a half in?
Well, they have a puncher's chance because they can shoot from the perimeter, and they have a puncher's chance because they have the heir apparent to Kobe Bryant, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest scorers in the game today, in James Harden, who's an absolute superstar. There's just no way to get around it. He's averaging 31 points a game, nearly 10 assists per game, more than 5 rebounds per game. He's shooting 45% from the field, 40% from three-point range, has a handle, shoots 85% from the free throw line, can get to the free throw line anytime he wants to, is exceptional at drawing fouls and getting teams into foul trouble. Now, obviously, he's got to work on showing up when it counts in terms of a Game 6 of a Western Conference semifinals against the San Antonio Spurs, because I still proclaim that was an imposter wearing a James Harden jersey. That ain't the James Harden that I knew and loved last season. That was a top 2 league MVP candidate. But there's simply no questioning his greatness. And I think it's one of those situations where we looked at Golden State and we surmised that Oklahoma City with Carmelo and Paul George were going to be the team to beat, or going to be the team to face in the Western Conference that would face the Golden State Warriors. Now, there's some serious trepidation about that, not just because of the way they're looking, but because of the way Houston is looking. And that was without CP3. Now that CP3 has been back, who, by the way, is averaging nearly 11 assists per game, you're talking about CP3 taking pressure off of James Harden, handling the basketball because he could do it himself. He can also score from the 2 spot if he had to. I'm talking about CP3. You're talking about the Trevor Ariza's, the Eric Gordons, the Ryan Andersons of the world with James Harden and CP3 to get them the basketball. That makes Houston incredibly formidable, but it takes nothing away from James Harden, because the greatness he showed last year, he's still showing it now, despite the fact that he's got a point guard with him who's going to be an expert at distributing the basketball to other people. James Harden is still doing what he has been doing. The brother he's a bad somebody, David. He's a bad somebody. And it's just that simple.
I'm glad you mentioned Chris Paul, because we're talking about him Harden leading the NBA in scoring and assists. As you mentioned, CP3 actually has more assists per game than his teammate, but he hasn't had enough games to qualify in that category. Right. So that could be a 1-2 there. Very interesting to see. Stephen A. working a little overtime, giving us his insight into the NBA on this day. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys want numbers? I'll give you numbers. Let's talk about Tiger's recent struggles by the numbers. It's been nearly 1,600 days since he last won an official PGA event. That was the 2013 Bridgestone Invitational. When Woods tees off, it will be 300 days in between competitive rounds, the second longest layoff of his pro career, trailing only the year and 3+ months that led into his appearance at the Hero World Challenge. And don't expect Tiger to be very effective. He's missed the cut or withdrawn in 10 of the 19 official PGA events he's played since 2014. So for some context,
little play but looking back on it now, I look like I was playing in slow-mo. But that was as hard as I could hit it. I didn't realize how bad my back had become and how much I was flinching and just how slow I was. I didn't realize it because it's been a slow, degrading process. And I thought I had some speed, and thought I was playing halfway decent, shot some good scores. But now I've looked back on it, I'm like, man, I didn't even have much at all. Now to come out here and to be able to do what I've been doing the last few weeks with the guys, it's been a lot of fun.
All right, so ESPN senior golf writer and former PGA Tour caddy, as we always say, Michael Collins joins us now on Coast to Coast. We appreciate you. Thank you. You were there yesterday when Tiger played 9 holes with Patrick Reed. In your honest opinion, how'd he look?
He looked good. He looked really good. It is so difficult, having not seen Tiger for a long time, when you go out on the golf course and see him swinging smooth and hitting it past Patrick Reed 20 to 30 yards. It is so hard not to go, oh, that's the Tiger I know. I've seen this dude before. You know, we just got to chill because this has happened 2 or 3 times before. But I'm not going to lie, Tiger was walking really well and hitting the ball pretty daggone good.
And by walking really well, what do you mean like that? You didn't see any difference in his gait? I don't understand.
Well, this was the thing. So when Tiger came back before, when he'd be walking on the golf course, his walk was pretty stiff. And even though he would tell people, no, I feel great. Now it comes out and he tells us again, well, okay, I wasn't 100%. But you could see it on the golf course by the way that he walked and carried himself, but especially the way that he walked after a round. Yesterday, after his round, he ran up the stairs off of the 18th green and almost tripped and fell. I yelled at him, too, when it happened. I was like, dude, come on, man, really?
Yeah.
Come on, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You don't have to run up the stairs. Yeah, so you can tell he's not in pain anymore.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to manage my expectations. I appreciate you for putting that in perspective. And speaking of expectations, what's reasonable for people as we watch Tiger this week?
Well, see, you're saying what's reasonable for people, and we all know the people that love Tiger Woods, you're not going to tell them to have reasonable expectations because they think right now Tiger's going to come back and win this week. But Tiger Woods himself said the expectations he has for himself: finish 4 rounds. Just play 4 straight rounds of competitive golf, and let's see, where's his golf game after 4 competitive rounds of golf? And when I asked him about the people that are looking at him going, Tiger, how you doing? He told them, look, just let me get through the first hole, okay? Chill. Let me get through the first hole.
Again, and if you could give us that face, how are the people saying when they see him? Tiger what?
Tiger!
Yeah,
Tiger's
excited. Great. Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and wrap this now. I'm kidding. I adore you. Michael Collins, thanks for joining us here on SportsCenter Coast to Coast.
Anytime, Carrie. Thanks.